Hello friends, and welcome to week 3 of Thanks-ember. So glad you decided to join me today. If you're new to my channel, this is not typically something that I do. This is just kind of a little series I'm doing each week for the month. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. Talked about things that kind of got us to where we are now in our crafting life and our lives that we're thankful for. And I thought it'd be really fun if I read some of the comments that you guys left on that post. So I am going to link this here that you can click on if you wish to watch that video if you haven't already. One of the first comments that I came up to was Denise Hoffman, and she said, "My grandmother taught me to chain when I was 7-ish. We made jewelry and belts. We glued buttons and sequins on them. And then she sent me home with a Susan Bates hook and a ball of yarn. She tried to teach me more, but it just didn't click. Whenever I struggle with tension, I can hear her voice reminding me not so tight." And she said thank you for sharing, but thank you, Denise, for sharing that with us. The next comment is from Dawn Ray B, who said, "So nice to meet you on Tuber Chat." Tuber Chat actually joined my live yesterday, so if you didn't see that live, I'm going to post that here as well. And she said, "I love your message of being thankful for what got us here." Wonderful message. "And I enjoyed seeing your first projects." Thank you. "And those crochet journals." Yes, those were lots of fun. "If you only knew how many times I lost track of what hook I used on a pattern that was only half finished." That's why I have to keep journals and things, because I lose things all the time. Felicia, which is F.R. Humphreys, said, "I love the scrapbook journal." Hannah actually made a comment that said, "I love all the things you collected. My first make was in 2020, a crocheted amagori smiley ball. It was a YouTube tutorial in German." She says she has a book like me, beginning in summer 2020, but then without pictures and yarn. And since 2021, she's had all of her projects and books with the yarn label, but without pictures. She even came up with a hashtag to use in the Facebook group, and so she even shared her journal there, which I thought was really awesome. So if you would like to share your journal, you can actually do that in the group. Share a link in the description below of that Facebook group so you can join. But since the first week we talked about things that were in the moment, last week we talked about things in the past, I thought I'd talk this week about things in the future, our future makes and future ideas. And since this is coming up already almost on the end of November, like where did November go? I don't know. You know, as crafters, we kind of still have to think towards that whole new year and our new year plans. And many of you may not be this way, and many of you may be, but I like to try to plan out some of the things that I want to do in the new year. And I try to keep track of those, kind of as accountability, I guess, and more of just so I don't forget anything, because I tend to do that. I don't want to lie and say that I'm not going to buy any yarn next year, because the truth of it is there may be a situation where I feel like I want to support someone and buy a skein of yarn from them, or if I just see something that I've been looking for in a D-stash, I'm not gonna not get it. It's not gonna happen. Next year's not here yet, so I bought some yarn. It was for the Stephen West knit along that starts, I think it's December the 26th, and it's called the Hibernation Cow. And this knit along is actually a pattern. It's a book of patterns. You can buy the book or you can buy the pattern individually. Personally, I'm just gonna buy the shawl pattern. I like the other patterns he has, but they're just not my cup of tea, and that's completely fine. I'm just going to get the one shawl pattern. But I will link this also in the notes to the pattern page that shows you the ebook and the actual shawl itself. The shawl is called the Aurora Cabin Shawl, and this is going to use fingering weight yarn. It says, "Choose 5 colors of fingering weight yarn to knit this beautiful semi-circular shawl. The pattern is knit seamlessly from the top center down to the chevron border." I'm going to go ahead and probably pop up a picture here of him and his shawl, and then one of just the shawls. "You only work with one color at a time, resulting in a mesmerizing and elegant pattern. The final chevron stitch decorates the border, followed by an I-cord bind off. Select 5 high contrast colors for a bold statement, or 5 soft shades for a more shadow effect. So this is the shawl that I saw, and I'm like, oh, okay, I have these colors in Miss Babs. I have the yellow, I have a light pink, I had an orange, and I have like a white. I just need to get a brown. And I was going to use that for mine because it's very pretty. And I'm like, hey. So I go to Miss Babs' website in an effort to find the color that I needed. Actually 2, because I didn't have a lot of one of them left because I used it for another shawl, which was actually last year's Mystery Knit Along. While I was there, I was also looking at her pre-made sets, and she just chooses the best combos. So I was kind of just looking for color inspiration. But then I saw something, and my inspiration became a, wow, that's the shawl that I want to knit in December. I partook in that pack of yarn, but it was only a quartet. It's just 4 skeins of yarn, and as the pattern states, you have to have 5. And I have been buying from Babs since 2014. I buy every year from Babs. Every year. It's just like a thing. I love her yarns. I really love her Yalza, which is a DK weight, and I have a bunch of them. I collect them because I eventually want to make this like a really random, crazy, almost grainy striped sweater. I don't know if I want to do it in knit or crochet yet, but I just think it'd be fun. So I called her store, her office, her home. I don't know if she does it at home. She has a studio. And I was like, hey, don't mean to bother you, but this is what I'm seeing online, and I really need a 5th one because I want to use this for the hybrid knit along. And they are so amazing there. They're like, okay, let me walk around and find you. And they always write a handwritten message on there. Like, I just think that's the best thing ever. And they always send you, I use these for bookmarks, but there's always a stitch marker attached to it, and these are my favorite stitch markers. It's just a jump ring with a seed bead glued on, but they're my favorite. And she always sends a sample. And I use these for ornaments, and sometimes it's enough of fingering weight to do a small square. But this is Avon light fingering weight. It's really nice. It's super, super soft. It's 19.5 microns, 85% merino wool, 15% silk. Yeah, that's that softness. 490 yards and 3.5 ounces is a regular skein, but this is just a sample. So this is probably 10 grams. And this colorway is called Rainforest. So pretty. So the color pack I got is this. And this is gorgeous. And this says Miss Babs Mixed Quartet, 4 skeins of Yummy 2-ply. And it actually had 1 skein of Estrella in there, which is like this yellow was actually a skein that had the Stellina to make it sparkly, but I didn't want that. So she was like, I'll swap it out for you. I'm like, sweet, thanks. But the 2-ply is 100% superwash merino wool. Total yards in this bag is 1,600 yards. Machine wash, dry flat. So the colors I got was, this first color is kind of like a very light peach, and it is called Muslin. It's really pretty. And then a russet is this pretty red burgundy. I've actually used this before in my Outlander shawl that I made. It was the same color red, and it's just gorgeous. Pretty sure the same color red. Then we have Topaz, which is a dark green. And then Tuscan Sun is like a yellow that has a little bit of the specks and stuff. To me, these 4 were kind of like a vintage Christmas to me, and I think that's why they appealed to me in the way that they did. But, again, I have to have 5 skeins of yarn, right? She was like, hey, you need to pull up this. I think it's going to be perfect. So I'm like, okay, just send it. I trust you. Chose Cordovan, which is a deep purple. And I'm glad she chose it because this actually has a little bit of a couple of specks where the color has mixed. I'm going to try to lift all these up and show you. So this is going to be my shawl. These are yarns that I probably wouldn't pair together on a normal day, but for this shawl, I think they're going to look pretty amazing because the way that it works up. It's a lot of jewel tones, but yet some soft. Talk about what I'm wearing. This is actually a crocheted, it's supposed to be a shawl, but I wasn't loving it in shawl form, so I switched it over to a cowl form. And this was a pattern, it's called the One Big Cake Shawl Scarf by Nina Nicholson. I will link this below as well as my project page. But the yarn is Baby Bee Sweet Delight, and it was one of those big cakes. And it's the colorway Airplane. I actually color controlled to get it to work more how I wanted it. I didn't really have to do that much color control, but I'm glad that I did because I really like the way it turned out. So if you saw this in some of my videos or my short, the yarn in her actually came from this cake. So this orange was actually part of this. And it was kind of after this dark gray is where it had orange. It looked really cool. It was pretty, but there wasn't enough of the orange to do another repeat of it. So it was just going to have like this one kind of thin, weird placement of orange, and I wasn't feeling it. So I ripped it out and I cut it out. And then I color manage, and when people talk about color management, that just means they cut the yarn so they can put the colors where they want to in the cake, so it kind of forms a pattern, which is what happened here. So I added a picot on it. There was other people that added picots on it. Some people actually put tassels on theirs when they made it a shawl. It looked really cute. It's a $3 pattern, but it's really cute. It's pretty easy to figure out as well. But I was making it, and I only had this one cake. And I like super long shawls, because if I'm going to wear a shawl, I want it to wrap around me enough that when I'm doing things, it's not going to fall off. And the original one was not that way, like when I was making it. So what I did was, after I got wide enough to go on my shoulders, I joined it, and I started crocheting in the round, and made it so it's like a seamless join all the way around. And you can kind of see where I joined right there. So this actually can come up. But I have a jacket zipped up where it kind of pokes up some, and I can cover my face. Because you know how that cold wind will get you. It'll get you. But it just turned out really cute. And it's just enough to give a little hug on your shoulders. Other things I have planned for 2023 is going to be the year of stash and knitting for my queue and crocheting for my queue. I really want to focus next year on knitting and crocheting projects that I've wanted to knit and crochet for a while now. Because honestly, it hasn't happened in a while. I love doing knit-alongs. Stevens West knit-alongs to me don't count because they're so educational and they're so much fun. But this year, I tried to do the year-long sock knit-along where I knit a pair of socks every single month. And it didn't even have to be socks. It could have been fingerless mitts or a hat. But I had to use one dyer's yarn, which is fine. I mean, I love this dyer to death. And I love her yarn. But it got very tedious. And the joy and fun of it quickly left for me. And there's no point of making something if you don't have joy in it. In my opinion. I mean, you know, some of us have to knit and crochet for work or for a job, financial reasons. I don't want it to ever come to that for me because I have too much on my plate. This is where I find rest and renewal. And other places too, but as far as crafting goes, you know what I'm saying, my queue is full of amazing projects that I'm going to make for a long time. And I keep pushing them off because new shiny things come out, like we do. Some of them are more long-term projects than others. And I'm not going to obviously make everything because there's 375 items. So that's more than I've made since I've been knitting and crocheting since the beginning. But there are a lot of things I want to make and many that I already have yarn for. I did add a couple of things recently. One of them was my first knit sweater by Marley Bird. I've actually knitted a sweater before. I was a lot bigger at the time, so it's a lot bigger on me than I like to wear now. So I really need to just rip it out and reuse the yarn, which sounds horrible. But I really like the yarn. The yarn is Barocco Vintage, and it's in glazed pecan. It's just really gorgeous brown. But that's how I got around to it. But it's put up. I do wear it around the house, but it's really big in the arms. Cue this one sweater from Marley Bird because I went to Ollie's the other day if you saw that video. If not, I'm gonna link it right here. And they had this Red Heart yarn there for $4.99 a piece. And I remember seeing this sweater when it came out in 2019. Because I think she had like a knit along for it on her channel. And I've always loved the Marley Bird. Like always. I've met her. I used to call in her podcast all the time. That's actually how I learned a lot about knitting and crocheting. This was from her. In early 2014, 2013, she used to do a weekly podcast called Yarn Thing. And I just loved listening to them. This yarn is an acrylic yarn, but it's so soft, and it's called Red Heart Higgy Charm. And it's almost like one of those halo yarns with a little bit of sparkle. And it doesn't feel like acrylic. And I know acrylic's kind of like one of those really non-breathable things. It actually says it's a worsted weight yarn, but it's a very thin worsted. It's more of a light worsted weight. It's not an Aran, nothing like Super Saver or anything like that. But I was standing at Ollie's, and I couldn't decide which color to buy. So it came down because all they had was two colors. So they have this purple color, which is called Evening Star, or they had this gray color, which is called Shooting Star. Great names for both of them. But you can see the glitter in both. And it's not like overly in your face sparkles. It's just like, hello, soft, gentle sparkles. And I really love this. But more information about this yarn. This is 97% acrylic and 3% other fibers. It's got other stuff in it. Machine wash, gentle cycle, tumble dry, low. 7 ounces and 198 grams. So per 7 ounces, there's 432 yards. So for a size small, you need 2 of these. For a size medium, large, or 1X, you need, or a 2X, you only need 3. And then for a 3X or 4X, you need 4 of them. I tend to always worry about not having enough yarn. And since they were $5 a piece, I literally got 4 of each. Because they were all the same lot number. And I was not going to say no to that. Because I couldn't decide which one I wanted to do a sweater in. Because I love purple. I mean, look at how pretty that is. But this is a really nice subtle gray. And even it has that sparkle. It would be kind of like, you know, a little, not really dressy, but somewhat dressy. So I don't know. But I do love this purple. But in my family, the whole family loves the color gray. So I can go either way with the colors. So I may make that next year. And if it's a free pattern, I thought maybe we can do like a sweater along. That could be fun for first time knitters because it's Marley Bird's patterns, and she already writes really well written patterns, and they're always for newer beginners and, you know, even us long time knitters. But that's an option. Also, for future knit and crochet things, I have a community tab post up about an ornament knit crochet along. Information is on that post, but there will be upcoming video about that. But as far as my knit and crochet from the queue, I'm just going to be pulling stuff from my queue. Like, I know I can just go and pick out something, but that's not very fun. So what I'm thinking about doing is like game show kind of like choosing, and maybe type all the project, and then this is going to sound like insane because it's 379 things, but type in the pattern names like in a random number generator as a file and save it. And then each month, just like spin a wheel and see what it lands on and then make that. Or I could, because it's already all numbered, I could just do a random number picker, which would probably be a lot easier now that I'm saying out loud and listening to myself. And then whatever number series or it lands on, make that project. And I know I'm not going to get done with all my current whips before then. That's just something I'm going to have to deal with on a personal mental level because the whips drive me crazy. Although probably next month we're going to have a sit down and we're going to go through every one of my bags that have yarn in it, and we as a group, because I'm going to need your assistance on this, I'm going to need some hand holding. We're going to either decide to keep it or to frog it, and that's a little scary. Some of them I know I'm going to keep because I'm almost done with them. But some of them I'm just kind of like, eh. And then honestly, I have bags that when I was cleaning that I found that had yarn in it that I had started a project, and I have no memory of starting a project. So I can only assume that was done during ambient time. That happens. So we'll be like a mystery for everyone involved. As far as this channel, because I think that's important to talk about with you guys, because you're the community of this channel, so you're a part of it. It's not just me, it's you. And you guys are what encourage me to make these videos, even though sometimes I sound like a nut job, which is perfectly fine. Pretty much like the advent calendar video that I made. So if you watched that, I'd ordered that kit, okay? And I literally just thought you got, because you can choose the color yarn. It even showed pictures of the yarn. And you can still order those. And that's an affiliate link, so I'm going to link that down below. But you choose your color, so you see the yarn that you're getting. So I thought, and when I even reread it, by the way, there's really no indication it's an actual advent. I thought you just get the yarn, and then you get the pattern, and then there's like 19 patterns to make 19 ornaments. And then you just mix them before Christmas. So I got my box. It was a pre-order, so I've pre-ordered it for several months. And I've been waiting patiently for it to ship. So I got my box, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do like an unboxing video and share the pretty yarn, because seeing yarn in a photo is a lot different than seeing some hand-dyed yarn in your hand and seeing all the little dots and all the little blurps of color, of happiness and joy. And I was like, I want to share that with you guys. And it was so cold. It had been raining. I literally had been and bought groceries that day, put everything up, got all my stuff together, and we headed off to the woods, which was up a hill. I found the little rock area, and I'm like, this is the perfect place to record this. It was so windy, and it was in Alabama. We have hot, we have hotter, and we have wet. And it was a wet cold. And occasionally when we get cold, it gets cold, and it gets cold fast. It just like abruptly drops. But it was a very wet cold, because I think the dew point outside was like 70%, and the wind was blowing. So it's one of those colds that you literally feel to your bones. So I'm sitting out there. I'm like, this is gonna be a fun thing to do with my friends. And I open it up, and I'm like, it's a pretty box. Like, and I thought it was like one of those boxes like you buy from Hobby Lobby that just have the decorative box, and it has the magnetic lid, and you open it and there's going to be the yarn, and it's going to have the patterns, and it's kind of like a keepsake box. So I'm getting it open, I'm like showing everyone, and then I open it up to see what I thought would have been the yarn and the pattern, and then I see these drawers. And I'm just like, that's not supposed to be there. So naturally I don't want to open it because I don't want to spoil the advent for myself or anyone else, because going back and reading, there's also little surprises in there. And that means we walked all the way out in the cold and the wet. I had to put on boots, y'all. It was that wet outside to open this. And I don't know if you noticed, but as the video was progressing, my hair was getting curlier because of all the moisture in the air. And I couldn't even show you guys the yarn. So I was like, we came all out here for nothing. And so then I came inside because I was like, okay, obviously that's not going to work. I'll go inside and I'll talk about the advent calendars. Anyway, so I came inside to record a video about my other advent stuff, which I'm still going to record that video. I just haven't got to it yet. And I set everything up again to record. And I talk about the first Jimmy Beans, and I set it aside to show the rest of my advents, and like it just fell over. It was kind of like no. So at that point, I was already cold. I was just, you know what? I'm done for the day. No more recording. And I was going to just not put that stuff out there on the YouTube channel, but it was so funny. And then I picked this music, and the way I was able to cut it, it works perfectly. And I'm like, no, this is going to make somebody laugh, and that's all that matters. And so that's what I did. I put out my craziness to make you guys happy. So I hope it worked. And then like going back and listening to myself as I was editing the video, I was laughing so hard. My husband was like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, oh, I'm just laughing at myself. It's completely fine, dear. It's completely fine. That's just some things I have planned for next year. I would love to know, have you started your planning for 2023 knitting and crochet? I've asked a couple of people. I know Linda from Linda Simpson Designs has some wonderful things planned, and I think she's got some knit alongs or crochet alongs planned, but she's a planner like me because we were talking about go ahead and writing this stuff down, and she's done that as well. So someone who does that kind of thing is like a kindred spirit to me because I am such a planner. But I would love to know if you're planning, and if you are planning, what are you planning for next year? If you have a channel and you want to like tell me, you know, like maybe some plans for your channel in the comments below, that would be awesome. If you have any knit alongs or crochet alongs plans, or maybe new patterns coming out, or maybe you just want to join along in my hashtag StashDown2023, which I will put right here. Or maybe you just want to learn a new stitch. Whatever your plans are for next year, please share them with us and let us know. And now I'm going to play some of the vlog type stuff that I've recorded during the week to share with you guys as part of my Thanks-ember series. Thank you so much for watching this portion of the video. I hope you enjoy the next portion of the video, and I'll see you on the YouTube streets. So I finished clue 1 yesterday and have it all bound off. Pretty stitches. I'm not even going to try to bluff this yet because there's just no point. But I am bringing in a 4th color. So I found this dark gray I have. And it's a similar spun yarn, so it should pair nicely to go with my mix. Good morning, friends. So it is Monday, and it is a rather cold Monday here in Alabama. It's 46 degrees right now. It's 11 a.m., which is a little unheard of. And usually by now I've already been out buying groceries, and usually on my 2nd or 3rd store because I have to buy for 2 families. But this week, because it was so cold, no, I'm just now leaving my house. So it's gonna take forever, I'm sure, because it's gonna be busy. But I wanted to show you some hand knits I'm wearing. So this is a test set that I did for Designer. It's a cabled hat and it has this cool stockinette detail running down the sides of the cable. And there's matching mitts. So I will link these when I post this video. But I forgot to even talk about my cowl. This was also a test knit. This was from Emily Wood, and I will link this as well. So pretty. But yeah, breaking out all the hand knits today, friends. All the hand knits.
Friends. So as you can see, we got a coffee pot, and let me just say, it is love. Not only is this a lot cheaper than the Keurig that we had, but it comes with an actual pot, which is more my speed these days. Although this morning I'm just starting off with 1 cup of happy. But cool features include this thing, the water thing. You can either have it in the back or you can put it on the side. We like it on the side because it fits here in this little crazy corner in our kitchen. And it's easier to get to. But it has a knob where you can actually turn it from coffee just to make hot water. So my kids use this to make bowls of oatmeal in the morning. And it has one of these frother thingies, which honestly I haven't even messed with yet. It pops out so you can froth things. Yeah. But this moves so the big pot can fit in there. And all of our really tall travel mugs can fit in there, and we don't have to like make coffee in a cup and then pour it into another cup. And I like it because it has all these different sizes and it has brew style. So I am more of a rich person, where classic you get 12 ounces with a 1 K-cup, but a rich you only get 11 ounces, so it makes it a little bit stronger. Another cool feature, if you're in a hurry and you don't want to have to wait for that final drip, you just click this to close and you can get your cup and nothing will drip down. Yeah, go Ninja people, go. You are my heroes these days.